Fred Vasseur doesn't usually storm down the pit lane. He's calculated, methodical, the kind of leader who solves problems behind closed doors. But after that particular session at Mugello, when Lewis Hamilton pulled his SF-25 into the garage, Vasseur walked straight past the engineers, straight past the data screens, and crouched directly at the rear of the car. What he discovered there wasn't just a technical irregularity. According to multiple Paddock sources, it was an unauthorized aerodynamic component that had been installed without his knowledge, and it's triggered the biggest internal crisis at Ferrari since the Michael Schumacher era. The evidence of Hamilton's struggles is impossible to ignore. At the Hungarian Grand Prix, after qualifying a dismal 12th while his teammate Charles Leclerc secured pole position, Hamilton didn't mince words. "I'm useless," he declared to the world's media. But then came the real bombshell. As reported across multiple sources, Hamilton admitted there was a lot going on in the background that's not great. This wasn't just driver frustration. The data tells a different story. Hamilton has gone 14 races without a single podium finish in the main events. Yes, there was that sprint win in China and a third place in Miami, but on Sundays, when championships are decided, the results have been catastrophic. The seven-time world champion is sitting 175 points behind championship leader Oscar Piastri. And more damaging still, he's being outscored by his own teammate Leclerc by 151 points to 109. But here's where this story takes a turn nobody saw coming. Because while Hamilton struggles publicly with the SF-25, there are whispers in the paddock about the man Ferrari kicked out to make room for him. And according to former F1 driver Johnny Herbert, Carlos Sainz's potential return to Ferrari isn't just paddock gossip. It's becoming a genuine possibility. Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur recently provided what seemed like a straightforward explanation for Hamilton's struggles. As he admitted in multiple interviews, "Lewis and we collectively probably underestimated the change of environment." Vasseur revealed that Hamilton had spent 18 years in essentially the same Mercedes ecosystem, from McLaren's Mercedes-powered era to the Silver Arrows dynasty. "We stupidly expected that he would have everything under control," Vasseur confessed. This appeared to be the answer. Hamilton was simply adapting to a radically different environment, unlike Carlos Sainz, who had bounced between teams throughout his career. As Vasseur explained, you have guys on the grid that if you look at Carlos, for example, he did Toro Rosso, Renault, McLaren, us, and Williams in 8 years. He changed 4 times. Lewis was not the case. The team had even brought in familiar faces from Hamilton's Mercedes past. Jerome D'Ambrosio, performance engineer Luca Della Torre, trusted lieutenants from Brackley. Everything pointed to a painful but temporary adaptation period. But then came Mugello, and what Vasseur discovered at that private test session revealed that Ferrari's problems run far deeper than anyone realized. Because the unauthorized component found on Hamilton's car suggests this isn't just about adaptation anymore. It's about trust. At Mugello, Hamilton knew within laps that something wasn't right with the SF-25. Through slower corners, the car responded predictably. But as soon as he carried speed into the circuit's sweeping turns, the steering wheel began telling a different story. The rear end felt unsettled, reluctant to anchor itself to the asphalt. The telemetry confirmed Hamilton's instincts, a progressive loss of aerodynamic load at high speeds, especially in sectors where stability is crucial. But here's what makes this revelation explosive. When Vasseur investigated, he discovered an aerodynamic modification that wasn't logged in official design sheets, wasn't on the approved development plan, and hadn't been discussed in a single team meeting. For Ferrari, a team where every nut and bolt is usually tracked with military precision, this was nothing short of a bombshell. Was this a rogue innovation from within the aerodynamics department? A clandestine test bypassing Ferrari's own processes? Or something more concerning, a deliberate act that compromised Hamilton's car? According to Paddock sources, Vasseur's reaction was decisive. That same evening, he launched a full internal investigation spanning aerodynamics, logistics, and component tracking. Suddenly, Ferrari's focus shifted from chasing Red Bull and McLaren on track to battling shadows within their own organization. The timing of this discovery is crucial because it coincides with something else happening behind the scenes. Multiple sources suggest that conversations about Hamilton's future at Ferrari may have already begun, and the name being whispered as his potential replacement, the very man Ferrari discarded to make room for the seven-time champion. Carlos Sainz never wanted to leave Ferrari. On the High Performance podcast, he revealed the shocking way he learned about his dismissal. "We were talking since October to renew. I never felt suspicious. I was training, prepping, waiting to sign. Then out of nowhere, Lewis is in, you're out." The news didn't even come from Ferrari directly. A friend broke it to him. But here's the fascinating part. Sainz signed with Williams through 2026, but multiple sources suggest his contract includes an escape clause if a top team comes calling. And according to Johnny Herbert's recent comments, that call might come sooner than anyone expected. If Hamilton walks or if Ferrari decides to help him toward the door, Herbert suggested, don't be surprised if they pull the plug on the partnership. The implications are staggering. Ferrari's marquee signing of the modern era could become their biggest miscalculation. The financial stakes make this even more complex. According to Italian publication La Gazzetta dello Sport, Hamilton's presence has increased Ferrari's sponsorship revenues by around 50 million euros annually. His arrival helped secure an agreement with HP worth 80 to 90 million euros. Merchandising sales have exploded beyond any previous driver's impact. But money can't buy lap time, and Ferrari know it. Because while Hamilton brings commercial success, McLaren are building championship-winning momentum, and Red Bull remain lethal on power circuits. Ferrari are caught between protecting a massive investment and confronting the reality that their gamble may be failing. What makes this crisis so dangerous is how it threatens Ferrari's long-term trajectory. With the 2026 regulation reset looming, new power units, revised aerodynamics, a complete competitive shakeup, teams must balance current performance with future preparation. McLaren are managing this transition perfectly, continuously evolving while building their 2026 foundation. Ferrari, however, risk becoming trapped in short-term firefighting. If correlation issues and internal politics dominate their 2025 campaign, they may sacrifice the head start they need for the next era. For Hamilton, the implications are equally stark. His move to Ferrari was about legacy, proving his greatness transcended Mercedes and delivering Ferrari's first driver's crown since Kimi Räikkönen in 2007. The unauthorized component discovery represents more than technical irregularity. It's a mirror held up to Ferrari's deeper flaws: technical instability, fractured communication, competing agendas, all converging in one moment that left Vasseur furious and Hamilton exposed. The evidence raises questions that Ferrari must answer quickly. If correlation breakdowns persist, how can they trust future development? If internal departments bypass official protocols, how does that affect team unity? And most critically, if Hamilton's patience runs out, what happens to a project that was supposed to define Ferrari's next decade? Carlos Sainz remains the elephant in the room. 4 victories in red, 4 seasons keeping Leclerc honest, and now potentially available if Ferrari admit their mistake. The poetry would be undeniable. The man discarded for Hamilton returning to rescue Ferrari from the chaos Hamilton's arrival created. The pattern is becoming clear: technical problems, political tensions, and a driver questioning his own value. In Ferrari's unforgiving environment, these ingredients have historically led to one outcome. What do you think? Is this adaptation period that Ferrari can overcome, or are we witnessing the early stages of one of F1's biggest transfer disasters? And if Ferrari did approach Sainz about a return, should he take it? Let me know in the comments. because this story is far from over, and the next few races could determine whether Hamilton's Ferrari dream becomes his greatest triumph or his most painful regret.